It's actually about a MILF.
Real story?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I had a thing for MILFs for a very long time.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Hey, beautiful human, I'm Zach, that's Dan, and today we're hanging out with a huge pop star in his home country. He's been doing this a very long time. He's got streams in the billions, and he's currently in the middle of his first ever U.S. tour. Welcome to the studio, Benjamin Ingrosso.
Yo. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, you're really interesting.
Thank you.
You're like recording all the time.
Yeah.
You're mic'd up like for your own production.
Exactly, yeah.
What do you do? Is it a documentary?
It's a documentary. So it's on Max. Like the old HBO Max.
Yeah.
But then now it's Max. So they are 2 episodes out already. And the third one will come out in a few weeks, I think.
Okay, so you're filming for... When did you start filming everything?
We started 3 years ago. But then I also grew up in a house where my mom has a reality show. So I grew up with cameras as well. Like the Kardashians, but in Sweden.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
where we're from. Yeah.
Yeah, you're very, very fascinating.
Like I've done a lot, although like you don't know shit about me, but I've done a lot. So it's fun to come here and be like, I've done this and this, and you're like, what?
No, I know a lot about you because
cool.
it's my job to know about you. But also, I love music.
Oh, same.
And your music is great.
Thank you. Thanks.
And you've been on quite a journey. So I don't even know where to begin. But outside of like, you've been touring the U.S.
Yep, for the first time.
I mean. Can you just describe the difference in a crowd here compared to Sweden?
I would say, what I realized during this tour is that a lot of my American fans has been fans for many years. So it's the first time they've actually seen me live, which makes them a great audience. Although, of course, they're not as many as in Europe or in Sweden.
But they're passionate, dude.
But they're passionate and they sing along to every single song. And I do also, I perform... On this tour, I've only performed my latest album. So it's the Pinkville Theater. That's the name of the album. It's only songs from that album and some new songs. And some people have, texted me before the show, like, can you play these old songs? I'm like, do you guys know these songs? And that's pretty cool because I realized that they've been fans for many, many years. And now it's the first time for them seeing me perform live. And some of them have actually traveled to Sweden before, so I'm very happy, and it's always fun to be a part, like to actually realize that you're on this journey, because you always keep looking forward, and you kind of forget to be in the moment. But I do enjoy it very much.
Well, that's interesting because it is a drastic difference in your reality.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
I mean, you can maintain like your security and your safety as much as humanly possible, but like when you walk around in Sweden, people stop you constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. But we also don't have that like culture where we don't have the fan paparazzi culture in Sweden. We're very chill. Like, if Beyonce had a lunch at our like regular restaurant, no one would actually care. They're like, oh, that's Beyonce. That's pretty cool. Like no one would actually just, come up to her and be like, oh, can we take a picture? Like people are very chill.
So how does that apply to your own family success in the country, right? So like if they're chill, why do you think they've been attracted or attached to your family? Like, I mean, you had a reality show from a very early age.
Yeah.
Cameras have been around.
Yeah.
What is it about
that
the people who created you and you?
That's a very good question. I mean, for me, I come from a musical family. Like it goes from generation to generation. My grandparents were big actors and still are. My grandma is 87 and she's still performing on stage, like killing it. And so I grew up in that fame, basically, which also made me like, I had to struggle for many, many years to prove people that I'm actually, that I am talented, not because I just got everything for free. Like I've been working my ass off to prove people that I'm a musician, that I'm a singer, that I'm a performer. And I wasn't like, I had 0 friends in school. The classic story is basically me being like, having 0 friends in school, having to prove myself for many, many years. And the fact that, I've been famous my entire life, basically, in my country, which means that people have seen my journey ever since I started. So I started pretty young. I released my first song when I was 9. Became a huge hit. And then I thought I was going to come back to school being, popular. That was not it. Like I came to school and people were laughing at me like, huh, who's this guy? And then I started doing musicals, and I started having colleagues, like grown-up colleagues, when I was pretty young, which made me, like a little human, like grown-up guy. I went to school as different characters, as John Travolta, and I was a very special kid. Started writing music when I was 6-7 years old, and I realized that at a pretty young age that I didn't want to go into a musical school. Like, I wanted to be self-taught so that no one could say he got this for free, or that's because his mom is that, or his dad is that. Like, I really wanted to do it all by myself. So I started like playing the piano in school during lunch breaks, hiding in the music room, and be like, because I didn't want anyone to see me, because that was not cool in my school. I went to school where football and soccer was cool, and not being on stage and musicals and singing and dancing and stuff like that. So when I released and I also, I did a lot of musicals and released music. I was touring. I did TV shows, morning shows.
You won awards for your TV. By the way, you're going through everything.
But this. So when I released my first single as a grown-up man, I was 17, and that's 10 years ago. And then that's been a journey from, releasing that song to being the artist that I am today. Because I've had 10 years of having to prove myself to a country, basically.
So, and by the way, like, this is real stuff. Like, when you're a kid, there's a Facebook group dedicated to just hating you. And there's like 20,000 members.
Yes, yeah.
And you're a child.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that make you stronger? Does that make you more resilient? I
think so. I remember going to school, having no friends, but I wasn't sad. I was, I was performing in front of the teachers during the, what do you call it, like the breaks?
Like recess or
like lunch breaks or whatever it's called. And my mom could, when she picked me up, she saw that I was by myself. So she sat with me during the nights being like, "Are you okay, honey? Like, is everything fine?" Because my sister went to the same school, my big sister. And she was also like laughing at me, being like, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed," kinda. So, but the thing was, I said to my mom already, like, I was 8-9 years old. I was like, "Mom, it's cool. They don't get it. They will get it pretty, like, when I'm older and when they're older. They just don't get that I'm gonna be cool for them when they realize that, and that will be in many years." Like, I was pretty confident as a kid.
And your first song ends up going #1, right? Like, but you your first, like, the first one you wrote was massive.
It was #1 on the single charts.
But
I think I was 9 years old.
Laughing now. Well,
Look Who's Laughing Now. Oh, you mean that song? Yeah. But that was okay. So that song is from last year, but that song, like, because everyone in Sweden knows my story. So for me to release that song, as the title says, "Look Who's Laughing Now," and it became #1, and it happened during a time where everything went pretty well. So it was my kind of fuck you song to everyone who doubted me,
So, okay. There's so much to, like, unpack here.
Yeah, I know.
It's really wild.
I will take you on this journey.
Thank you. Because the album is great, by the way.
Thank you so much.
It's really fantastic.
Thank you.
I mean, comfortability on stage has always been in your blood, so that's not a problem.
No, it's still been, like, when I was younger, I was a more confident performer, I would say. And then I kind of lost that during the teenaging, like when I was a teenager, and when I started as an artist again when I was 17. And because people were so mean, and it made me lose control of who I was, and I started, have doubts, and started looking at myself in the mirror and being like, I'm not talented, I'm not good enough. Who would listen to my music? Who would want to see me perform? And then it took me like almost 8 years to find out that, wait, I just have to go back to the little kid and find him again and be like, I want to be like that kid who didn't give a fuck about what people thought and just did exactly what he wanted. And that's basically this album as well. It's my 5th album, but it's the album that makes me, like, when I listen to it, I hear the 9-year-old Benjamin finally making the album that he always wanted to make. Although I'm extremely proud of the albums that I put out before, but they are more like searching for who I am kind of albums, I would say.
But now you know who you are.
I think you're always searching for that answer. I don't think you ever wake up and be like, I know exactly who I am. I think you're always, finding pieces of who you are.
So what do you learn about yourself from making this album?
I actually just it's a concept album, so for the people who hasn't listened to it yet, you should listen to it from start to finish.
It really does take you on a journey, and it's immersive.
Yeah, and that's what I want. I want people to like close their eyes and just, because it's about this guy who starts having hallucination, I would say, and then he's on a journey, and he's very naive. And he's completely in love with this woman. And then throughout the album, he realizes that, fuck, maybe she's not in love with me. Wait, is she even real? Wait, is this a dream? Is this real life? And then, for me, I love Interstellar and Christopher Nolan and Marvel movies. I love to like have those influences in my records. So for me, the album is like, you can choose how it ends. Like, is it a happy ending? Or for me, it's a sad ending. It's about me realizing that she will never accept me on planet Earth. So I'd rather just get high and be with her in a different universe in my head instead of being here on planet Earth. Because here, she maybe doesn't even know that I exist, kind of.
Are any parts of that made up of your reality?
Yes. yeah. And also, I kind of realized that very late in the process. Because there's one girl that I kind of like the album is based around, and when I realized that she was the key, the whole album kind of made sense.
Oh yeah,
in a way.
You made a whole song about her.
I made a whole album about her, I would say.
I mean, Angela.
Yeah,
also One in a Million. Like, Angela's a real person.
Her name is not Angela, but and that's a funny story, because Angela, if you listen to the song,
so good.
Thank you. It's actually a nod. Do you say a nod?
Yeah.
An homage, kind of?
Yeah.
To Peter Pan. So, Peter Pan, Wendy, in Peter Pan, her name is actually Miss Angela Darling.
I didn't know that.
So, for me, that's when, like, it's a kind of, I got the inspiration from Peter Pan being in the clouds, looking down at Wendy, waiting for her to die so that they could be in Neverland together, kind of.
Interesting.
So it's and I was actually not high when I wrote that one. But it's very like, and that kind of inspired me to, like, that inspired the whole album. Like, what if it's a Peter Pan and Wendy, Romeo and Julia kind of story? Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Sweden we say Romeo and Julia.
But based on your life.
But based on my life, yeah. Yeah.
Does it make life easier putting it through the filter of a character? Sometimes,
yeah. It also makes you kind of go much more creative when it comes to the content and visuals and stuff like that. Because I love that as well. Like, I love to create worlds. Every artist does. But, it's just fun to, like... also, if you look at the album, the cartoons and stuff that I've created around the album, when you listen to it, you can watch it on platforms, Spotify, shit like that. And you can see that I've drawn a story that is very comic accurate, because I love comic books and stuff like that. So I love to put that into this album, at least. Next album would probably be something else. I don't know.
Can you explain to me how a song starts? Does it start with lyrics?
No, it doesn't.
Is it production?
So, as a Swede, we tend to write a lot of, we tend to love melodies. That's our thing. That's our thing. We don't listen to lyrics usually when we listen to a song for the first time. It's just the melodies and the production. That's what grabs us. And then I think I listen to the lyrics the second time, or even the third time when I hear a song. I'm like, and also a lot of the songs that I grew up listening to, like the songs from Earth, Wind and Fire, or Whitney Houston, or Bee Gees, and Elton John, Michael Jackson, I've now realized what they're singing. Because for me, they're just words. Because, it's not my mother tongue. It's my second language. So for me, now, of course, when I write lyrics myself, I tend to realize more what they sing about now. But as a kid, I never knew what they sang.
How do you balance that with wanting to actually tell a story?
I think writing with good writers. that I also write a lot of my music with American people that actually, you know, speak the language fluent, which helps you to like, because then I can say to them exactly what I want to sing about. And then they can, you know, if I usually sing in fake English when I write. So I write a melody like, sometimes what you fall into like it is a part of the world. Like I just make up words that sounds nice. And then together with the writer, I can write lyrics that fit that melody. And
interesting.
Yeah, because for me, it's also very important how it sounds when you sing it. Not that it just means something. It also, for me, has to sound good when you sing the whole song.
Like, how do you then apply that to a concept album?
Like when I wrote this album and when I produced it, I started with the title, Pink Velvet Theater. That's what I had. And it was very like up in the air. Like it could be anything. And I just wanted to put myself in a position where I was very free. And for me, Pink Velvet Theater was very like, it could be anything.
Yeah.
And also it reminded me of me as a kid when I was young, working at a theater. And it was very like dreamy kind of. So it helped me to be, like if I wrote a good song, for me, if I thought it was good, I could hear that it's good, but it doesn't fit the Pink Velvet Theater world. So either I had to change the lyric to make it sound more like what I felt was Pink Velvet Theater, or I could produce the song in a much more experimental way. Because it, you know. And then some songs I didn't have on the album because I thought they didn't fit the world. So I saved them for later.
You mentioned Earth, Wind and Fire. You worked with Nile Rodgers on Honey Boy.
That was pretty cool, I have to say.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I met him in Stockholm. He's
casual.
Such a cool guy. Like that guy is a living legend, I have to say.
The guitar
Although
lines
maybe not
crazy.
many people know actually who Nile Rodgers is, but everyone knows his songs. So,
yeah.
You know, he did a lot. Like he produced a lot of music during the 80s for Madonna and Prince, and you know, he's a cool guy.
I was young. I never danced. Would never dare. What story are you telling? You said I thought I wasn't good enough. I never said a single word to any girl. I was afraid that I would mess it up.
Yeah.
Definitely you.
Yeah.
But
and then you
one day
realize if you keep on.
Yeah, but then one day I saw her face, and the old me would walk away. But then I took a chance. Then she said, "Honey boy, you're too young, cheeky."
Yeah, she's a MILF. It's actually about a MILF.
Real story?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I had a thing for MILFs for a very long time.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Let's unpack it.
You know, I grew up with two girls, my mom and my sister. So we watched a lot of like Desperate Housewives and Sex and the City and stuff like that. And I remember there was one episode in Desperate Housewives where two twins, teenage guys.
Yeah.
One of the guys had an affair with one of the moms.
I know this episode.
Yeah. And I was completely in love with the mom. I was like, fuck, she's gorgeous. And then like my mom tended to have very gorgeous friends. So as a young kid, my mom played Sandy in Grease, in the musical Grease. And I was like 7, 8 years old. And the girl that played Frenchie in the ensemble, she was gorgeous. And I was like 7 years old sitting with her during the breaks. And I was like, I'm in love with you. And she's like, but you're too young, but maybe in the future. Like,
You've always liked
I've always liked
an older
mature
lady.
older ladies.
Wow.
They're just very sexy and casual, especially like when I'm at the clubs in Sweden, not only in Sweden. The girls in my age, they tend to play like they don't care, which is they probably don't. But some of the girls I realize that they know who I am, but they want to act like they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like they want to be like, huh, he's not gonna think that I want to hang out with him. And I'm just like, sometimes I've been like, hi, can I buy you a drink? I can buy myself a drink. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. But the more mature women, they are more like open up and be like, hey, I want to get to know you. Oh shit, yeah. Should we go to my place? I'm like, okay. Like they are more upfront and like they don't care about the game. They don't play the game. Like if they just want to have fun.
So what's your age range?
Like when it comes to relationships, I wouldn't obviously date a mother, like a MILF. But I'm 27. I tend to date girls that are older than me, but not older, like 3 years older.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's fine.
It's like 30?
Yeah,
That's
30.
nothing.
That's nothing, right? But you know, when I had during COVID, we were out partying a lot because in Sweden we didn't have a what do you call it?
No lockdown?
No, we didn't really have a lockdown. Like the clubs closed earlier, but we were still, having
What?
That's gonna help.
house parties. Yeah.
Wait, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
yeah, Sweden was crazy.
I went like 2 years without seeing a single fucking person.
No, I met a lot of people. I also that's when my career in Sweden started becoming pretty, like, what do you say? Like, that's when everything started happening because I also put out a lot of music during COVID. And I remember my colleagues were like, why should we put out music? It's, it's COVID. Like no one really goes out anymore in that type of way. And I was like, but we're still artists. We still have to release. People want new music still.
And it was uniquely like a weird time where people wanted an escape. They wanted nostalgia. They wanted like anything but reality.
Yeah.
So things like art.
Definitely, yeah.
Have you thought about singing? Well, this album, like, is there a reason you decided all English for this album?
I think it would be weird to have both, like both Swedish and English in one album. Like during COVID, I released 2 albums in Swedish.
Yeah.
Because it was COVID. Because I thought that, okay, this, like, I would probably be stuck in this country for maybe 2 years. So I'd rather just release some nostalgic Swedish music then. Because that's, as you said, that's what people wanted. They wanted nostalgia. They wanted to, like, feel something real. So I was never, like, I always thought that I would write a Swedish album when I was older. Like 40, 45. Like, not young artist kind of thing. But thankfully that album became my first successful album, so it helped me to find a new audience. So when I released English music again last year, it was my way of like saying I'm gonna go back to what I did before. So I was very scared because in Sweden, 80% of the music that comes from Swedish people are Swedish language, music, like Swedish rap, Swedish pops, stuff like that. So we're not that many people in Sweden that sing in English. So I was very scared releasing the new album, realizing that people might not, connect with it because they're like, oh, why should we listen to this when we have, I don't know,
Everyone else?
Harry Styles. I don't know, just another male artist who sings in English. But the songs last year became my most successful song in the country, in my career so far, which is very big for me as a Swedish artist to sing in another language and that people from Sweden connect with it in that type of way, which made me very, very happy. And I'm here because I really want to explore my music in the world. I see myself as a global entertainer in the future. That's my goal.
Does making it in America matter to you, even though success is massive back at home?
100%. I've always dreamt of becoming an artist over here. Like, I don't know, it's just the music that I grew up with comes from this country. I feel like... And also the way I see my shows, my performances, and the way I arrange a show is very much inspired by everything that you guys make over here.
But so much of our pop music is made up of
Swedes.
You guys.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, some of the greatest pop music of all time.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, questionably, the greatest pop music of all time.
Yeah, I think we're the second biggest country in the world that put out hits. Like music hits.
ABBA, Max Martin, Zara Larsson.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many.
Yeah.
I mean, the list is...
long.
Crazy.
Roxette.
Yeah, Roxette.
Ace of Base. Maybe you don't know Ace of... Like,
I know Ace of Base, of course.
I saw the sun.
Yeah, Tovlo.
Tovlo. And then, I mean, Martin and his whole crew from...
Ilya,
Shellback, Salva. Yeah, like these guys are...
I know them.
We're so proud of them. Yeah.
What is it, though? about Swedes and pop music? Is there a reason? And by the way, we're also looking at somebody who's Eurovision royalty, but we'll get to that. No, fuck off. You are. No.
I did.
You did your own songs this last time. Like you went back and did a medley of your own stuff. Like,
I did.
That's really cool.
For 7.5 minutes. That was epic. You know, like in Europe, Eurovision is for the people who don't know.
It's the Olympics. Educate people.
It's I would say it's like this music contest where every single country from Europe and also outside of Europe compete against each other, and it's a show that goes for 1 week, 2 semifinals and then 1 finale, and it has 450 million people watching it. Like, it's huge. It's Super Bowl.
It's crazy.
It's bigger than the Super Bowl.
That's like 3 times the size of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's big. And I had the honor to have a 7.5 minute halftime show last year in Europe with 3 of my latest songs.
But by the way, after winning, but also you won when you were 9, correct? You won.
I won the
kid
junior
version.
Eurovision.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Sweden. So, you know, it's like, you know, telling you guys something that you've never seen before. It's very hard, but it's our culture, and it's very big. Like, now we have, you know, the pre-festival in Sweden, because we're finding the winner now for the Eurovision, for the Swedish representation.
Who you're gonna send
exactly,
yeah.
and that in Sweden is a 7-week bubble. Every single Saturday, there's a semifinal with 7, you know, acts competing against each other. Every single song that's competing now is on the top 50 charts in Sweden.
That's cool.
They are taking over the top 50 charts, and it's what everyone is watching. Everyone is talking about it. And I won that contest 7 years ago or 8 years ago, and then I competed in Eurovision. I came like 7th or something. Wasn't that big of a success, maybe. So for me, coming back to Eurovision now 7 years later, doing the semifinal, like during the interval act,
big deal,
was very nice. Without competing, just being there and having fun.
Because the pressure when you're competing is very real. Because I mean, your country's watching. It's no joke.
No, it's not. It's very like you also take it. I was 21. I took it so seriously. I was like, I'm representing my country. I have to make them proud. And I didn't.
Did you enjoy your time on the show? Like,
nope.
You didn't have fun?
No, I didn't have that much fun, sadly. It was weird. Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's I don't know, I remember I got my points from the audience, and Sweden as a country in Eurovision, people hate Sweden because they always come top 5. We always come with something that's modern pop, and the Eurovision fans, they are very like, they don't like us. So when I got low points, the whole arena started like, wow, shouting like, yes, fuck you, Sweden. And there I was 21 years old being like, oh shit. So yeah, it was tough, but it's, you know,
I'm so sorry.
It's life.
Why do you think those Swedes are great at pop music?
I think it's because we have a lot of folk music in our generation, or not in our generation, like in our blood, and it's very melancholic, and we tend to write, like, it's very cold in Sweden, like 70% of the year, so people are inside, and we also have this, like, so they are, like, a lot of, like, people want to learn the instruments or start producing music at a very young age. And also when ABBA became so big, I think people in general from, like, Sweden is a small country, 9 million people, 10 million maybe. If 4 guys...
That's so crazy.
Yeah. If 4 guys like ABBA, if they can make it, you know, as a kid in Sweden, you're
Anyone
like,
can.
Maybe I can make it as well. And I also think it has, you know, the way of being a kid from a small village. And in Sweden, we also have this, like, mindset of, it's called the law of Jante, which is a mindset of people not thinking that you can be something. Like here in America, you have to believe in yourself, you know? You come into a room, you're like, hey, I'm this. You should work with me. But in Sweden, we don't have that. We're like, hey, I'm very happy to be here, and like you can't really think that you're good at something, because then people think that you're better than someone. But that's not the thing. So in Sweden, if you say I'm talented, they will hate you.
So how do you actually become successful if that's the larger mentality?
Because you sit by yourself and just wanting to like make it, so that's our way. Like when we make it, it's our way of saying, I'm very talented, I'm proud of myself. But you can't say it. You have to
do it. But then does that conflict with the country's support of their artists? We
tend to, like in Sweden, we tend to like the artist. Like we tend to appreciate the artist when they become global, if they want to become a global artist. We never really find the artists ourselves. So if we see that, oh wait, these guys are having a hit in America, we also think they're good because they're from here. But they never really think that from the start, if you know what I mean.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, so that's always the thing. Like I've always believed in myself, of course, but I also always saw that I have to make it over here so that people in Sweden can appreciate me. But now I kind of like they've already kind of appreciate me already, so I'm like, kind of screws up my plan. I was supposed to make it here first, but hopefully, it will work out in the end.
Why do you think things have changed? Why do you think they appreciate you now? And they've been around for a long time. Like you talk about acquiring new audience over there, but a lot of it's like not necessarily acquiring new, but like kind of changing people's minds, I guess. Or
I think it's the kind of like the what do you call it? Like people have seen my journey.
Yeah.
So they have a way of like feeling proud. Like, oh, we've seen how you worked for so many years and your struggle, and we've seen your journey, and finally you get the chance to do your thing, and now we love you for it, kind of. But like there was many years where people did not want to listen to my music, when they were embarrassed of working with me, and when I finally had my kind of like break, is that what you say, like break through? Every single day, people came up to me and was like, "I'm sorry, I just have to say that I used to hate you, but I'm sorry, I didn't understand that you were this talented, or like I'm sorry, I just realized that I kind of listened to your music, but so people, it was not cool to listen to my music. Now it's I don't want to say that it's cool to listen to my music now, but I think it's more people can accept that they listen to my music without being embarrassed.
Are you like, how do you feel about that song you released on Eurovision Junior when you were 9 years old? That went to #1. Do you have a relationship with it, or have you just kind of like put it in the past and moved on?
It's a Swedish song. It's called Hey Sofia, like Hey Sofia, like, and that song, like I wrote it myself, and it became a big hit. But it's also a kid's song. But it haunted me for many years.
It's giving Aaron Carter energy.
Yeah.
It's giving.
No, but it's like, and it was a big hit, and it still is. Like, people come up to me and be like, I fucking love that song. I was like, it's 20 years old almost. And I had this show in Stockholm last summer, 35,000 people, and the whole crowd during my like speech were screaming, "Sing Hey Sofia." I was like, fuck it. So I sang that song just because it was fun, but I think because I wrote it myself, I've always thought that it was like, I've always been proud of that song.
Yeah, it's yours.
Because I actually, like, the only thing that I was, that was disturbing was when is that what you say, disturbing? Mm-hmm. Was when I was like 22, 23, and I really like wanted to make it, and people were still asking for that song. I was like, haven't I wrote a better song since I was 9 years old? Like, I kind of like looked at myself in the mirror and like, did I write my best song when I was 9? Is that my biggest hit yet? So I was very glad when I started having more commercial hits with the latest songs.
What do you attribute to finally having a hit? Is it consistency? Is it
I think it's just writing about what you love and what you've experienced, and also that if like it comes from your heart. I remember like being at the clubs when I was younger, and my sister and all the cool guys were dancing to different songs, and I stood there and I was like, oh, fuck, is this what I have to write to make people dance to my music? So I went into the studio and started producing music that I thought people would like, instead of being the director. Now I'm writing a song and I'm gonna prove the audience that they will dance to this one. They just don't know it yet.
Is there anything you learned from writing Hey Sophia that you maybe have carried with you?
I think I learned to let go of like when you write a song, you shouldn't think about. The only thing you should think about is how you will perform it live, maybe. But not like if people will like it, if it makes sense in this world we're living in, if it sounds like the songs that comes out now. Like when I wrote Hey Sophia, I just wrote a song that I loved. And that's what I basically, when I did this album.
You went back to it.
I went back to it. I didn't listen to music for 2.5 years, like the recent music. I was very like in my own bubble, just listening to music that I was inspired by. It could be Franz Ferdinand or it can be Elton John. And like, I didn't care about the world outside my own little bubble. So I could write an album that I was personally so proud of. And then I really didn't want to care about what time we're in, or if it's 2025 or 1978. I just wanted to make an album that felt timeless. And that's what I think is the same similarity when I wrote that old song.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
The album gives timeless. You should listen to it. It's all on Amazon Music.
Thank you.
Please, please, please. Gosh, what are you thinking over there, Daniel?
I love All My Life.
Oh,
I think that's my favorite song on the album.
thank you.
What was the inspiration behind that one?
That's actually when I had Max Martin watching the show. He said, that's my favorite song. So you have good taste.
Me and Max Martin.
You and Max
Same
Martin.
ears.
All my life. So when I did most of the songs from the Pink Velvet Theater album, we wrote all 90% of the songs during 3 weeks.
Wow.
So we wrote maybe 3 to 4 songs a day. And I wrote these songs with two of my biggest idols, 2 Swedish producers that they've been writing tons of hits. Like if I would mention, songs they've made, you would probably know every single one of them. Like Swedish House Mafia songs and Avicii, and I think they've done some Pharrell Williams songs and Katy Perry. Like they've done a lot. It was just Salem, one of the producers. He was sitting with the guitar, and then I sat on a couch like this with a microphone like this, and I just sang the whole song basically. Bucket full of money, I gotta spend, so we don't need education. And then some of the lyrics came up, and then so that was a very I think we wrote that song in honestly 25 minutes. And usually those songs are the best because you don't overthink it, and that song was insane to perform live last summer. It was awesome.
Is that the true test of a song?
Yeah,
100%.
When I do my tours, I perform a lot of unreleased songs to try to test the audience and test the songs, and then I usually go back to the studio and finish them after having, a connection with the fans, seeing when I lose the tension or change the key maybe, or make it faster production-wise. I tweak stuff, and All My Life was that song was made thanks to my summer tour. I went back into the studio after the summer tour, because I arranged the song as a live performance. And then I brought that into the studio instead of doing the opposite.
That's the missing part of making music in this day and age is that. People used to do that all the time.
Yeah, that's how they produced music back in the days.
You used to test it in front of a live audience to go back and do it, but people stopped doing that because phones are around.
Yeah.
So nothing is sacred.
No, exactly. But that's also a pretty cool thing, because I did a European tour last year and I basically performed 90% unreleased material.
Wow.
So everyone was asking for songs that they didn't get.
Yeah, they needed it. Like it kind of creates like a groundswell and a conversation.
Yeah,
and demand.
but then also they started, you know, posting the unreleased tracks on social media, and people started to learn the songs and asking for them. That's you know, a way of also promoting your music nowadays, because it's a hard it's a hard world to you know, put out music nowadays, because there's so many talented artists and songwriters, and there's so many songs. I think there's like 180,000 songs a week. You know, that's insane.
By the way,
Yeah.
you casually mentioned Swedish House Mafia.
Yeah.
Sebastian's your cousin.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You do have a lot of famous relatives and very talented lineage.
Yeah, like in Sweden we're many, but also in Italy we're many.
Really?
Yeah, my cousin Diodato from Italy is like the, you know, the George Michael of Italy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Because you're half and half.
So,
Half Italian, half Swedish, right?
yeah, no, he's fully Italian.
He is, but you.
But Sebastian and me, we are half Italians. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Seb, he comes from his father and my father were background dancers to my mom, because she's an artist. So that's how my mom and dad met. And my dad was producing my mom's records, and he wrote her songs and was also a dancer. And then Sebastian's father was the choreographer, and then he started DJing very late in the 80s in Sweden. And he had the first house label during like early 90s in Europe, I would say. So Seb grew up in the studio with his father, listening to house music at a very early age. And my father he's a musical composer. Like he writes scores like Ennio Morricone and like John Williams and stuff like that. So I kind of grew up with that, more like melodic pop, I would say as well.
What a beautiful upbringing, though. Like, what a blessing to be around.
100%. And then, you know, Seb, he had a very like tough childhood with a lot of, you know, struggle with just friends, and he didn't finish school and stuff like that. A lot of like chaos. So, and he worked, like he started from scratch. He really started from scratch, like DJing at a pizzeria, having like, you know, a guy coming up with a gun being like, play me this song. Like it was insane. Then, so when I was 12, he was a fucking world star. They were selling out arenas in the world. And I remember when I was 13, I watched them at this huge arena in Stockholm when they were on top of the game. I was like, shit, that's... And, you know, that also made me realize, fuck, if he can make it, it's not possible. Like, it's not impossible for me to make it as well.
See, I gotta say, like, some people in that position may crumble due to the pressure of seeing close relatives be so successful. Yeah. But others see it as motivation, right? Like
for me, it's motivation, for sure. And like, if it's fun, because if me and Sebastian have dinner in Stockholm, people come up to me. They don't even like recognize him. But if we sit in here, they're like, oh, then I'm nobody. So it's like we can have. He can have the world, I can have Sweden.
Yeah, but you will soon have the world, right?
Yeah. But it was fun because I went with them when they were headlining Coachella with The Weeknd. And it was really...
so cool.
It was really nice to just be surrounded by these guys when they were having that weekend, because, you know, they had all their eyes on them, and, you know, picking up with like three big black cars, and we were going to the to the venues. It was pretty epic. And that also, of course, made me like, oh, can't wait for the day when I headline Coachella.
And by the way, I just got to say, like, for being so big and for their sets being huge, they are two of the most grounded, kind people. They've been on our show.
There's three of them.
Well, it's three, but only two came on our show.
Oh, was it Seb and Steve?
Let me see who came.
Yes.
Seb and Axel, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, they're and hilarious.
I got to say, like, really, really kind individuals.
Yeah.
Like I say, every Swedish person who's been on the show
is kind.
Which Tove's been on a bunch. I know Max Martin.
Yeah.
I know Savin, Ilya. Yeah. Everyone. Zara Larsson.
Yeah.
Kind.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Like very compassionate.
Yeah.
And like caring eyes because they give a shit. They're very present. Good people.
No, we truly love the craft.
You do.
We do. Yeah.
Real artists.
Yeah, but also you I've known Sarah for I think we met when we were 7 or 8.
I was gonna say she was in the same kind of circuit, right? She started on like a talent show over there.
Yeah, Swedish Got Talent. Yeah, Swedish Got Talent. She won that show, and then we were at the same label for 10 years, me and her, at a small label. So, and also when she was 9, she was in the musical Sound of Music, and my mom was playing what's her name? Oh, the Julie Andrews part.
Yeah.
My sister was in that show as well. So, and I think, as Swedes, we all know each other. Like, even if we met once, or maybe not, like, maybe haven't even met, when we see each other, like, here, or we're like, oh, hi, how are you guys? Because we all, like,
Sure.
or at least for me, it's like, I'm proud of these guys, and I'm a huge fan. And it's also Sarah, for an example. That's also a motivation for me to be, like, looking at her, being like, fuck, she's so talented, and that's so awesome that she's been working hard. I mean, she's been working really, really hard, and she's been doing, the old school, dating radio stations all around the States. And
for years. I mean, she
years.
first came on our show probably in like 2015, 2016.
Yeah, you see.
Yeah.
And I got to say, too, she worked hard to buy back her catalog. She bought back parts of her records.
From our old record label.
Really amazing.
Yeah.
She's very, very smart.
She's very smart.
totally
yes, she
ahead of
is.
it.
Yeah.
She's so talented and so funny also.
Also, you're a big television personality because you cook on TV.
I did.
You do?
During COVID.
Okay, so you just picked up a bunch of things during COVID and you just did them as like casual hobbies?
Okay, so listen, my dad's a restaurant owner nowadays.
I mean, it's in your blood.
We're Italian, so, and he had the biggest Italian restaurant during the 90s. So I grew up in it with my nonna, my Italian grandma. I started having an accent with my Italian grandma. So food for me is my passion after music, and so I had this I was a part of another show where artists make covers of each other's songs, and they become hits. It's a show in Sweden that's pretty famous. And after that show, the TV program producers saw potential in me as just a very happy guy who loves to cook and perform. So they asked me during COVID, you want to do something, you want to do a show? We can do whatever you want. So I really wanted a show where I cooked food and I invited artists and we jammed and sang songs, which I did. And then we released the songs and it
was cool.
So I did a cashew pepper pizza that I stole from Pizzana, but no one knows that in Sweden. I ripped that off completely, and we sold out of pecorino cheese in the country thanks to that pizza. It became super viral. And then I had Sarah on the show. I had Björn Ulvaeus from ABBA.
Yeah,
I had
cool.
First Aid Kit. I had a lot of great artists, and we sang together and we cooked, and it was just very nice. And that show became super successful. I won awards for that show, but I never saw myself as a host kind of thing. So, and it was just during COVID for 3 years. And then as soon as COVID was over, I was like, now I want to go back to being just a performer again. But it was very fun, and people liked it. I loved it. And now today I have a food brand.
Yeah, you started something with your siblings.
Yeah, Mino. So it's basically the best, pasta and cheese, olive oil, tomatoes in jars, charcuteries, what do you have here? Rumo? You have Rumo here? Or the Checo?
I don't think so.
What kind of pasta brand do you buy?
Barilla or is it
Barilla. Fuck, Barilla is not good.
That's not.
That's not good at all.
Yeah, never mind.
We have to bring you guys some Mino.
You won the equivalent of Dancing with the Stars over there.
I did.
That's nuts.
12 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I was young. I was 15, 16 or something like that.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's
So yeah. That was
a cool thing. I mean, is it hard there as it is here? Because that shit's physically demanding.
Oh yeah. It was really hard. I broke my hip.
Ha!
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I broke my hip because I moved with my hips like this, and I kind of I broke the hip.
Okay. So
It was
did you
insane.
keep dancing through it, or?
Yeah, I went with, I had What do you call not
Oh,
wheelchair?
that's why you won. You had a walker.
no. But
What?
what do you call it when you have like when you walk with?
Yeah, walker.
No, not a walker.
Oh,
like
crutches?
Yes.
Oh.
What is it called?
Crutches?
Crutches. Yes, but just for like 1.5 weeks, and then I went back to the dance as well again. But that was of course that was fun.
So I'm confused. So you broke your hip and you only needed crutches for a week?
Yeah.
Oh, this is giving sympathy play. Keep
Yes.
going.
No, but that's what they told me. They told me I broke the hip. But that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I did. I remember it hurt.
Damn.
Yeah.
All from like a move on the show.
Who's more popular when you go out in Sweden? You or your sister?
Good question. My sister is.
She's famous too?
She's like a host. She's an
huge.
influencer. She does it all.
She's the Kim Kardashian of Sweden. I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Without bragging, like she's honestly the biggest influencer.
Yeah, she's
and
everywhere.
She has a makeup brand called Kaya, which is the biggest like when she's having pop-up stores and stuff like that, you have a queue for like a day outside the Grand Central Market or whatever it's called, in Sweden. And she has a TV show, like a talk show.
Cool.
She just had last week she had Ben Stiller, and last year she had Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler. Like she's huge,
Wow.
and she's also a part of my mom's reality show
So your mom's reality show has been going on for how many
for
seasons?
10 years.
Holy.
17 seasons.
So are you on it still?
Not really, not that much. I was when I was younger because I lived under my mom's roof.
Yeah. So instead
So
of
I had
paying
to,
rent, you're going to be on the show.
which was not nice because people just saw this lame teenager who never wanted to be on camera. So I was always rude when I was like in the episodes. Also made people not liking me even more. But for my mom and for my sister, they became very successful thanks to that show. I had to prove myself through my shows and my own things. But it's insane. Like it's insanely funny, I would say. Like my mom got married last year, and that was 3 episodes, and my mom, she's the funniest person on this planet. She's out of this world. She says whatever she thinks, and she was having her speech to her husband, and she was just talking for 20 minutes about their first sex, and I was like, fuck, Mom, what are you talking about? She was like, I didn't shave myself that night. I was like, please don't. Like it was embarrassing. But it was also pretty, like, just to get the perspective, they were, because as I said before, we don't really have the paparazzi culture in Sweden, but at this wedding in Spain, it was paparazzi in the woods, and we had like a what do you call this?
Helicopter?
Like, no,
A drone.
A drone?
I was like, who brought the drone? And they were like, I think that's the paparazzi.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was insane. Very fun. I was super drunk. And then we performed, me and my band, at the wedding.
That's great.
Just for fun, very drunk. And then we had to, during the night, fly to Germany to play in a city called Baden-Baden on my birthday, the day after. So I missed my mom's second day of the wedding, like the pool party thing. And I slept from the car from Spain. I slept like the guys, they took me on this like wheelchair kind of thing through the airport. I slept during the entire thing. Woke up in Baden-Baden. I was like, where the fuck am I? I slept the entire, it was like a 15-hour travel, and I slept the entire flight. And then I had a show in Baden-Baden on my birthday, and I missed my mom's pool party. That was sad, but the Baden-Baden festival was actually very, very good. So it's worth it. So my sister is, she's a cool fucking girl, entrepreneur. And my big brother, he's a restaurant owner and he's part of the food brand, of course, and he has his own food show and like food books and,
That's cool.
Yeah. And our half baby brother, who's 18 years old, he's very mean. He's very like angry with us.
Why?
Because he's not part of the brand, and he's just our half brother, and he also wants to be successful. He's just like,
why isn't he included?
Because he doesn't have Italian blood.
Okay.
But I think we will probably bring him into the industry.
Is he on the show?
He's on the show, yeah. So he was 7 when
Wow.
we started, and now he's 18 in just a few weeks. That's crazy.
By the way, you really should listen to the album Pink Velvet Theater. It's
Thank
waiting
you,
for you.
thank you,
There's a
thank you,
link
thank you.
below. It's all waiting on Amazon Music.
The next album will probably sound a bit different, and I also will have another artist on my next single. That's from America that I'm very excited for. That song.
So a single that's not on this album.
No, it's coming out in a few weeks.
Who's it with?
Can't say that yet, but you probably know who she is, and she's extremely talented. So I'm very happy that she's joining the song.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So do you just give them the song already done and then they add their part to it? Do you work in the studio with this person?
No, I reached out to her and she loved the song because she was actually like experiencing the exact same things that I'm singing about.
Mutual
and
understanding.
I let her write her verse
Cool.
because I really want her to put her flavors into the song.
That's real collaboration.
It is, for sure. And I'm a huge fan of her, so that's why, I would never do something just because it's a name or something. I would love to collaborate with people that I admire, and I admire her music a lot.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Follow this man on every DSP
You
platform.
never know what you're going to get.
Amazon Music, link below. Better Days, real quick. Are you talking to your mom in that song?
Because I sing Mama, Can You Hear Me?
Yeah, you taught me everything that I know, but it's hard to be sane in this big world.
Yeah. That's the part of the album where he turns really happy and naive. And he thinks everything is possible. And it's actually more that he's singing to the girl that he's... The whole album is...
Interesting.
Yeah. But it's more like, Mama, can you hear me? And then he's singing back to like... But it's also, a song about like being very, very positive. Believing that we have them better days ahead. Because the world is fucked up. So I also want to be... Like when I perform... Of course, the ballads are sad and stuff like that, but I love to perform songs that has a positive, what do you call it? Positive
Message?
And because I want people to go from my shows feeling like excited and happy and not feeling like sad or depressing. I want them to be hopeful. Feel hope, even though we live in a world that's not.
Truth. This album gives that.
Thank you.
Listen to it. It's waiting for you. Link below. What are you thinking?
Covered a lot here.
You're great.
Thank you. You guys are amazing.
Thanks for hanging. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Literally
This was a lot of fun.
Well, anytime. As you release music, come back.
Yeah, I will.
Because you'll be here a lot. I
Maybe
can
with a
feel
guest,
it.
with the girl.
Whoever it may be,
Yeah,
come.
I will.
Benjamin Ingrosso, everybody.
Thanks for having me.